others to join us. I'll just make sure that you are aware of some of the ways that you can interact with us today. So there's typing in our chat room, which we're already on top of, and Quinny will be monitoring the chat, and she'll flag some of the key questions that you have, and we can answer those as we go along. And we'll also leave some time for questions at the end. You'll probably find that a lot of the questions will be answered in the webinar as well. So we'll also ask some questions throughout the webinar, and if you can respond either using the emoticons with the thumbs up or thumbs down, or just by typing yes or no, that would be great. So let's get started. So the purpose of the webinar today is to give you an overview of the program. It is a very dynamic program with multiple moving parts. Once you start, you'll be attending classes, getting to know the UBC campus and the building, networking with each other, alumni, and others, so you'll definitely be very busy. It is important what you need to do to help make your transition a smooth one, and some of the information we'll give you today will help with that. And it's also important to understand the structure of the program in a bit more detail so you know where you're headed. So today's session should really give you a good roadmap of where the program will take you. So we have some information about pre-arrival, the program overview, a little bit of information about the international program components like the global immersion and exchange, and then we'll have lots of time for questions. So who's in the room with us today? So myself, Teresa Scott, manager for full-time MBA. We also have Quinny here with us, who's our senior program assistant for the full-time MBA. And Alina Yuchimets is here, who's our manager for global learning. And Mary Cowan is also here. She's our manager for MBA careers. So we have, a lot of us here who can answer many different questions. So just type those in when something comes up you'd like to know a little bit more about. So I just wanted to start by introducing you to your class so far. You are the class of 2019. We currently have 95 students who are accepted into the program, and we would expect to have a final class size of around 100. The gender split is 66% male and 34% female. The international domestic split is 68% to 32%. There are 24 countries represented, so a really nice international mix in here, and the average age is 29. So we refer to you as the class of 2019, which is the year that you'll be graduating, rather than the year that you're admitted. We always like to look forward to graduation as the final outcome of the program, so that's how we talk about it. So you will start the program in September 2017. You'll finish in December 2018, and then you'll graduate at the May 2019 convocation, which probably feels like quite a long ways away at the moment, but believe me, the time will fly. Okay, so I'll just go over some of the other components of the wider UBC solder team for you and some of the resources that are available to you while you're here. So the RHL Graduate School includes two teams, the recruitment and admissions team as well as the student experience team. So the student experience team is responsible for academic advising, program support, registration, program administration, and general student advising. We also manage the global immersion and exchange opportunities, which Alina oversees. And we're the first resource in terms of your student experience while you're in the program. So much of the course and program related information like schedules, registration, etc. will come from our office. The Harry B. Varshney Business Career Center has dedicated staff who are here for you. They're here to support you in your career and professional development. With career managers for each student, Mary Cowan and Iris Kai will be providing you with more information regarding networking opportunities, career development, summer experience, and the job search process. So the David Lamb Library is a library that is located in the Sauder building. They have research librarians who can help you with your projects, a number of online databases and research materials, and they're part of the wider UBC library system. You'll have a chance to meet the librarians during opening week, and we'll also host some training sessions for you on referencing and using resources in September, which is an important skill to have when you're in the program. In the building, we also have the Canaccord Learning Commons. They have resources for students like writing workshops. They also have a digital media lab and an investment and analysis center, and they also run speaker events. So lots going on here and lots of resources for you. So preparing for the MBA, the start of the program is just around the corner. There are 74 days until the start of opening week on August 28th, so it's going to come quickly. So here's a list of some items that you should be thinking about now. And we'll go through each of these in greater detail in the webinar. And there's definitely more information about everything that we're covering today on your program site. Can I actually see a show of hands? How many of you have been on the program site already and having a look at the information there? If you can just type yes or no or give us a thumbs up, I'd be interested to see what the numbers are. If you haven't had a chance to look yet, it looks like there's a fair few people who have. I do recommend that you go and have a look. It's definitely a go-to place for information about the program. And I'll just hand it over to Alina now to talk a little bit about the study permits.
All right, so those of you who need a study permit to come to Canada and to study in the program, the main piece of information and advice is apply as soon as possible. Because every year, one or two or more students are unable to come because of the study permit issues. And those issues can be varied, but one issue that is in your control is the timing. Please apply as soon as possible if you haven't yet. At the same time, you can apply for the co-op work permit, but don't worry about it if you haven't, or if you have some issues doing that, because you can always apply for the co-op work permit once you're here. This is for your internship component that will begin in May of next year. So there is plenty of time to apply once you get here. So for any questions that you have in regards to your work permit or a co-op work permit or an entry visa, which some you will need to actually enter into Canada, you can always contact us, or we have an international house on UBC campus, and they have international student advisors that can help you with those issues. So you can always contact isa@students.ubc.ca.
Okay, housing. That's a big topic, and I'm sure many of you are thinking about this already. Vancouver is definitely a tight rental market, so you would like to get ready with your housing earlier rather than later. I checked in with our current full-time MBA students yesterday just to see how many of those students are living on campus versus off campus. And I was told that 90% of the students in the current class are living off campus. So an interesting number. I wouldn't have guessed it was quite as high as that, but something that you may want to consider when you're deciding where you want to live. Both the on and off campus housing is at a premium, since you are competing with the 40,000 other students who are coming to UBC and would like to live near campus in September. So in order to get, if you are thinking about on-campus housing, if you haven't applied already, you definitely want to apply as soon as possible. And on the program site, you'll find some more information about the specific graduate student campus housing that we have, or the housing that we have that is recommended for graduate students, such as Green College, St. John's College, the Thunderbird residence, Marine Drive residence, and Fairview. In terms of off-campus housing, it's really important that you arrive early in order to be able to find off-campus housing. So we definitely suggest that any international or out-of-province students arrive by August 1st at the latest. It does tend to be difficult to confirm housing if you're not here in the city in person, because it is such a competitive market that people aren't very willing to rent to students that they haven't met in person yet. It is a good idea as well to try and live closer to campus than further away. Vancouver is a fairly sprawling city with all of the different suburbs out there, and UBC is located right at the western edge. So although the public transit is quite good, the further away you live, it can definitely take a long time to get to campus, which can be difficult when you have lots of long days on campus. So the nature of the MBA program is such that you will be on campus a lot. On most days, you will start classes at 8 a.m. And while you may finish your classes at 5 or 6 p.m., you may then have group work as well. And there will also be some evening events, either on campus or downtown, some career networking events, speaker events, and things like that. So it's a good idea to be accessible. One example I like to use is that every year there are a few students who choose to live in somewhere like Surrey or Burnaby or Richmond. And although the rent is cheaper, it is quite a long commute every day. So when you're looking at the houses that you would like to live in, definitely have a look on Google Maps to see how long it will take you to get to campus by transit or by car, and then make those choices accordingly. Kitsilano and Kerrisdale are two of the areas in the city that we recommend for students. They're nice and close to campus, also nice and close to downtown Vancouver. There's lots of restaurants, and they're just really lovely neighborhoods. One tip is that in those areas, you may not find everything online. If you just walk around in those areas, a lot of the landlords will just put signs up in front of the building or in the window when there is an apartment available. So that's something else that you need to be here in person to be able to do. So the program site does have links to different rental sites for off-campus housing. I would also encourage you to ask your buddy for recommendations there, or have a look on the class Facebook group. I'm sure that there'll be some discussions about housing going on already. Many of our students do share housing while they're in the program, and that can be a nice way to offset some of the financial strain for that. So if you have any questions about housing, send those through to Quinny, and we'll do our best to answer them. Okay, so moving on to healthcare. There are two kinds of healthcare in Canada. There's basic and extended. The basic healthcare covers your general doctor's visits and some hospital services. And extended healthcare covers other things like prescription drugs, dental care, travel and health insurance, and counseling. So both kinds of insurance are required for all UBC students. So a little bit more information about the basic healthcare. It's called the Medical Services Plan in BC, and anyone who's living in British Columbia for longer than 6 months does have to apply for this. So that applies to everyone in our program. There is a 3-month waiting period before your MSP coverage will start. So it's important that you apply for this as soon as you arrive in the country. It does take a little while for them to process your application. So as long as you apply within the first few weeks that you're here, you should be fine with regards to the MSP. And an idea to give you an idea of how that 3-month waiting period works, it includes the month that you arrive plus 2 months after that. So if you arrive on the 29th of July, then your 3 months would be July, August, and September, because you had arrived, even though it's the end of the month, you had arrived in the month of July. Please note, so the MSP premiums are not included in your tuition or student fees, and the current cost is $75 per person per month, which is, it is shown on the budgeting information that we send you, and it's also on the program site. Okay. With regards to that 3-month waiting period, you will need coverage while you're waiting for the MSP to start. So UBC has an automatic plan for international students called the IMED plan. So you'll be automatically enrolled in that. So you don't have to worry about coverage while you're waiting for the MSP to start. Students who are from other provinces in Canada are also eligible for IMED, but it may make more sense for you to continue coverage with your home province for the waiting period. So you might want to contact your province's healthcare provider just to discuss the details about that. Okay, so in terms of the extended healthcare, all of the students in our program are automatically enrolled in the UBC Extended Medical Plan, and this is run by the Alma Mater Society and the Graduate Student Society. The payment for this plan is included in your student fees, and it covers services that are not covered by MSP. So things, as I mentioned before, about prescription drugs, dental care, travel health insurance, counseling, etc. And students can enroll, if you have a spouse or a partner or dependent children, for an additional fee, you can enroll them in this plan as well. And for those students who may have an alternate extended healthcare plan, you can opt out of this. And there's more information on the program site about how to do that. Okay, so in terms of the budgeting, we do have estimated budget expenses on our program site and on our admissions website, which you may have already seen, but I'll just go over them quickly here again. So certainly take this as a general guide. They will vary per person, depending on where you live and what your lifestyle choices are and what elective courses you take while you're in the program. So your biggest fee is obviously your tuition. We have the domestic and international costs there. There's a global immersion fee, so that's that excellent 2-week trip that we all get to go on in February, which is always a highlight of the program for all of our students. We estimate the cost of that at around $5,000, and that does include a $600 course fee. You'll have additional student fees that are collected by the Alma Mater Society and the Graduate Student Society at UBC. And those are for services like your transit UPass, the extended medical coverage, which we were just talking about, the athletics and recreation fees, so all the different student services that we have on campus. We also have a student levy building fee of $1,600, and all of our Sauder students pay this. It was passed through a student referendum a number of years ago to help finance the renovation of the building that the Sauder School of Business is housed in. And then there are also course fees and books and supplies, which we've estimated at around $3,000. And then that $75 a month fee for the medical services plan that we were also just talking about. On top of these, you also will have your costs for housing. So we've estimated, we've put a fairly generous estimate of $1,600 a month on this budget for you. It really does depend on where you live in the city, if you're sharing, what kind of building you're living in. So just take that as a guide. On top of that, you'll have your utilities. A mobile phone plan here with a fair bit of data costs around $75 a month, which might be a little bit more expensive than you're used to. And I recommend that you ask your buddies for advice on the best mobile phone plans, because they tend to have done a lot of research on that and have also tried it out in person. Food and discretionary expenses as well is an average there. It will definitely depend on where you're eating, and if you're a foodie, if you're going out on our wonderful Vancouver food scene, you might have to up that number a little bit. So you can see that the totals there for domestic and international. And there's more details about the budgeting and financing for this on your program site. In terms of financing for student loans, there are government student loan options for Canadian and US students, and those are, there's a link to a web page on our program site for those. And there are some private loan options for international students. So if you have any questions about that, you can either have a look on the program site or send an email through to our team, and we can send you on to someone who can help you with that a little bit more. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit more in detail about the actual program itself. So the 16-month UBC MBA journey is meant to help you establish a deep understanding of the business world, so you'll be ready to become future business leaders. We have a wide selection of business courses, which we call modules, in our program, and they'll allow you to explore through integrative and cross-functional business modules, our foundational modules, electives, global immersion, and the summer experience requirements, such as an internship, entrepreneurial, or industry project. The total program credits is 51.5. And generally, to give you an idea, each module you take in the program is worth around 1.5 credits. Most of the modules run on a 6-week schedule. So if you've had a look at the program schedule that we had sent you a message about maybe a week ago, you'll see that the periods that our classes run over go for 6 weeks. So there's 5 weeks of classes and then 1 week of exam. And then just to go over the time frame for the program, it goes for 16 months. So from August 2017 to December 2018, with your graduation in May 2019. In August, as you know, we have our mandatory opening week activities that run from August 28th to September 1st. So if you haven't put that in your calendar yet, please do. All students who will be taking the UBC MBA program are required to be here for the start of opening week on Monday, August 28th. If you're not here on Monday, August 28th, then it's not possible to continue in the program. So that's a really important date. And then your classes will start on Tuesday, September 5th. It's not the Monday of that week because that is a Labor Day holiday here in BC. So Tuesday, September 5th is the start of your classes. Now I just wanted to show you our program overview document. I know it's hard to see on the screen, but I just wanted to remind you about this document because there's a link to it on your program site as well, and we did send it to you in one of our email communications. This is a great visual of your 16-month MBA journey, and it's divided up by color into the different program components. You can really use this overview as a map to see where you are in the program and where you're going, and it also contains the dates and the kinds of modules that you'll need to take. Whenever I explain to people how the program works, this is the document that I use, so I find it really helpful to be able to see a snapshot of the program like this. Do please pay attention to the dates that are listed on here and also on your academic calendar that we sent you. If you're planning any major trips during the school year, so if you think you're going to be flying home for Christmas, or going somewhere over the summer period if you have a few weeks off before your internship starts, you may want to just check the dates with our office prior to booking your travel, just to make sure that there aren't any required activities for the time that you plan to be away. Okay, so academic prep. Are you ready to start the program? So there's 74 days before the program starts, and questions we often get is, what should you be doing now to prepare yourself academically to start your classes? So we have spoken with your P1 and P2 instructors to get an idea of what the level of knowledge is you should have prior to starting classes. And they tell us that you need foundational proficiency in quantitative methods in Excel and familiarity with statistics, economics, and finance. So a few weeks ago, we did send you the list of the academic prep tutorials that we've compiled for you to review as you prepare for the program. And if you haven't had a look at it yet, it is on your program site under the opening week and prep tab. So do go and have a look there. We've listed all the different tutorials underneath the different subject headings, as well as a time sort of estimate of how long it will take you to complete each section. Obviously, each of you comes to the program with a different kind of background from your academics and work background. So your familiarity with the different academic prep tutorials will be very different. For example, someone who comes with an engineering degree may find the quantitative tutorials really basic, but for someone from an arts background, they'll definitely be more challenging. So it's really up to you to have a look and determine if there are any of the tutorials that are relevant for you. So I really can't recommend having a look at this list enough. Can I actually get a show of hands? How many have already had a look at the academic prep to see what we've listed there and if it might apply to them? Oh, great. So quite a few of you have had a look already. That's terrific. It's definitely a good way to ease yourself back into the academic environment as well. So many of you haven't been in school for a number of years. So it is a good way to remind yourself about what it's like to be a student again before you start the program, so you don't get it all as sort of a bigger shock in September. And it's also really helpful to look at this in advance, because once the program does start, you'll be extremely busy with your classes and your group work, and needing to spend time catching up on some of the basic concepts in these subject areas will be very difficult. So yeah, really do yourself a favor and have a look at that over the next few months. All right, so some of the other components of the program, we have our business strategy integration classes. So I'll just go over these in a little more detail because they're a unique part of the program. This is a series of modules that are designed to enhance your education and career prospects through in-class learning and a wide range of experiential learning. So there are 4 key modules in the business strategy integration. The foundation module you'll take in periods 1 and periods 2. This includes integrated case days, strategy classes, and a consulting project or business model project. In period 3, which is in February, you'll be going on the Global Immersion experience, which is our 2-week travel overseas, where you'll be. We have various workshops leading up to that, and then the experience itself overseas, where you go on company visits and really immerse yourself in the culture there. We also have the summer experience over the summer months, so from May to September, of experiential learning, and students will take part in 3 different options, either an internship, an industry project, or an entrepreneurial project. And then we have the capstone to wrap up at the end of the program, where you sort of apply all of the knowledge and skills that you've learned while you're in the program to a live business problem. So in period 1, all of the students, so all of you will be taking the same classes over the period 1 and period 2 from September to December. So in period 1, you take that foundation course I was just talking about. You'll also take ethics and sustainability, foundations in accounting, statistics, organizational behavior, and economics. And we'll automatically register you for these courses in August, so there's nothing that you need to do there. We will actually be dividing your class into 2 cohorts, and you'll take all of your classes with that group of students. In period 2, we continue with the foundational modules. You'll also take some more accounting. We have a new class called Fundamentals in Entrepreneurship, introductory finance, marketing, and operations. Again, these are courses that we'll automatically register you for. We will also have a career track information session at the end of September, which will give you a little bit more information about the career tracks. So as you know, in our program, we have 3 career tracks: finance, innovation and entrepreneurship, and product and service management, and as well as having a custom track. So you will have an opportunity to learn more about that later in September, and you will declare your career track by January 2018. It's really important to have discussions with your professors and your career managers about where you see your career going to help you make the decision as to which track you'd like to take. And it's a good topic to discuss when you first meet your career manager, where you want to go with your career, if it's necessary to focus on a track, etc. Mary, did you want to add anything about career tracks here?
No, I think you've covered a nice sort of overview. So there'll be more information coming your way when it in terms of career management.
Okay, so that brings us right up to December. In December, you have a nice break before you come back for classes in January. So there's usually about 3 weeks that you get off during December over the holiday period. And then we come back for periods 3 to 5, which run from January to the end of April. So in these periods, you'll be taking required modules for your MBA degree. You'll be taking specific track required modules if you've decided to take a track. There are some track electives as well, and then general MBA electives. And as mentioned, you will declare your track choice at the start of period 3. Once you do declare your track and begin taking those track modules, it can be difficult to change to a different track, just depending on when the classes are offered in the program. So, but that's something we can certainly talk about in more detail as we get closer to that time. And you will self-register for your P3 to P5 classes in November. So towards the end of November, we'll send you all the information that you'll need to know about how to register for those classes. And if you want to have a look at what classes are offered there, you can certainly refer to your program schedule that was posted and sent to you. It does have a list of all the classes there and which instructors will be teaching them. So in a bit more detail, in period 3, we have that global immersion class that you'll be taking and going on the trip. And then we also have the global issues in macroeconomics course, which is a nice lead in to the global immersion trip. In period 5, you'll be taking creativity and leadership development as well. Continue to take some track required modules. Yeah, so I'm going to hand it over to Alina to speak a little bit more detail about global immersion.
Thank you, Teresa. So great. So global immersion, I want to see some thumbs up about who's excited to go on global immersion. All right, so we hear yes, lots of thumbs up coming. Great. I'm happy to tell you that this is one of the most exciting components of the MBA degree, as told to us by the MBA students and graduates. It's also a required component, so you will get to go somewhere. It will include 4 destinations. So in 2017, so just this past February, we had 4 destinations in India, England, Chile, and Japan. And in 2018, we will have 4 destinations as well, but they will switch up a little bit. Usually every year we switch up the destinations, and I can tell you at this point that we'll definitely go to Santiago and Tokyo. But the other 2 destinations, so India and England, they'll be switched up to new destinations, and we'll tell you what they are later on in the summer. For your global immersion experience, as Teresa had mentioned earlier, we will have some workshops leading up to it, and we'll obviously give you some more information in the onboarding week when you come into the program, as well as in workshop 1, which will be in September. You will have a choice, a voice to say where you want to go. So you will submit your preferences to us sometime in September, and we usually try and accommodate everyone to go into their first or second choice. Sometimes some destinations are oversubscribed, and we do have an upper limit on how many students can go to each destination. So we'll have to, if any destination is oversubscribed, we'll have to reshuffle the students a little bit. But usually students are absolutely happy with wherever they go. If you have, there's one condition, if you have significant experience in, so living and studying in one of the GIE destinations, or if you actually come from that country, then you must select a different destination. It must be a new experience for you to be a learning experience. So Teresa had mentioned budgeting for it already, and I just wanted to emphasize again that you need to make sure that you set aside the amount of $5,000 Canadian to cover your costs for global immersion that are not included in your tuition fees. So that includes your flight and hotel, and these would be your highest costs for global immersion experience. There'll be some, of course, incidentals on the ground, such as some transportation, meals, etc. Usually the amount covers all of the costs that you will incur. And back over to Teresa.
Thanks, Alina. So moving on from global immersion, the next sort of integrated component we have is the experiential learning, which happens in the summer. This is a very career-focused experience, so I'm going to hand it over to Mary from the Business Career Center to talk about it.
Thanks, Teresa. Yeah, so you'll notice on the slide that you can see that there are options. The options include an internship, which is typically where you work for an employer, where you have an opportunity to work for a minimum of 8 weeks, 8 to 16 weeks in the summer with an employer, an external employer, which allows many to have access to working in the Canadian market. It allows you to exercise your new skills gained through your MBA experience. The other option is an industry project, and this might work for many of you who are thinking about really understanding a certain sector, a certain function, and really doing a deeper dive into a certain area and spending the time in a research mode. This project works with you, is between yourself and a faculty member. And the entrepreneurial project is one where you come with the idea that you'd like to launch a company. You're at the point that you've done some market research, you're thinking about putting a business plan together. And again, this project may be independent. It might be something you do on your own. It might be something that you do with a partner. And it would be in conjunction with a faculty member as well. All these choices are yours. We will work with you from the career perspective to make sure that you understand the pros and cons of all. There's no judgment around whichever one you deem most appropriate for your journey. Again, as we've alluded to earlier, there's more information around experiential learning and the summer experience and career management coming up in August. So I encourage you to keep an eye open for more webinars that will be focused more on the career management side.
Okay, thanks, Mary. So after your summer experience, we move into period 6 and 7, which is the final 4 months of your program, so September to December next year. In this time period, you're taking the rest of your elective modules to finish your track and program requirements. There is also an optional international exchange available at that time, also an optional GNAM, which is the Global Network for Advanced Management, and they also offer some small network online courses that you might be interested in taking. We have a big focus on your career and professional development as well during this period, since you're more focused on your job search. And then we have our integrated capstone, as I mentioned before, to wrap up the program. And then graduation in May 2019, you're done. So that's sort of an overview of a little bit more detail about the program as we go along. And I'll just hand it over to Alina again to speak a little bit more detail about exchange.
Great, thanks, Teresa. So we have 34 partners in 22 countries for international exchange. Now, some of you may think, well, we're doing global immersion already. Why would we want to do this other experience? It's entirely different. This is a different experience that allows you to go for a longer period of time, usually 3 months, although you can go for 6 weeks, 7 weeks as well. But this is something that allows you to fully immerse yourself into a different country, a different business school, get an experience that maybe you haven't had the chance to have before in your undergrad, maybe you haven't had the chance to go on exchange, or maybe it's something you did before and you know the benefits already and you're looking forward to doing it again. I'll encourage you to check the list of our partners that are available. We'll send you the link shortly, and we'll post it on Facebook as well. But this year, we have 15 students just preparing now to go on exchange from the class before you, and they're going to places like Italy, SD Bocconi, Spain. Some students are going to ESADE in Barcelona, and some are going to IE Madrid. Some students are going to China, CIBS Business School in Shanghai, and some students are going to Netherlands and Australia. So it's still an experience that students are looking forward to have, and they create networks that last them a lifetime after this experience. So we will have a detailed presentation in the fall for you, but exchange happens in the second year of your program, so the very last 3-4 months of your program. So you will complete your program up until your summer internship or project, and then you will go on exchange. The dates will depend on the exchange school. Of course, there'll be some programs that start in August and some that start a little bit later in September and October. The application for exchange is not due until January of 2018, so there is plenty of time to get information and to have any of your questions answered. And this is truly a unique opportunity to spend your last term of the program at one of the top business schools around the world. Some students are concerned about their career search in the fall term, and that's one of the legitimate kind of worries when they consider exchange. And of course, we'll answer those questions for you. And Mary here will say that yes, it's difficult, but it's definitely possible. And for many students, it actually really enhance their career prospects afterwards. All right. So last but not least on the global opportunities is an exciting new network that UBC MBA belongs to, and it's a global network for advanced management, or GNAM. UBC Sauder is the only Canadian member in the GNAM network. It's a network of 29 top business schools around the world. It was started and spearheaded by Yale School of Management, and it includes a top business school or two in each of the regions or countries in the world. So one of the benefits for you as MBA students to belong in this network is an ability to take global network courses. These are real-time virtual online courses that count for credit towards your MBA, and you will see the listings. You will be able to start these courses from January of 2018, but you will see that usually the courses are focused on really exciting topics that you might not be able to get otherwise, and they are done at the time that it's convenient for most of the students, and you can do it from your home or office or at the school, and there is no travel and time commitment. The Global Network Weeks are actually intensive one-week study at partner institutions that happen face-to-face. So these courses happen, you actually have to travel to the partner institution in one of the business schools in the network and take one course that lasts a whole week, and there's a deep dive into a topic that school is offering. This will, for you, will be in October of 2018, and this will be between period 6 and period 7. Even the students who go on exchange oftentimes are able to participate in the Global Network Weeks. So for instance, we've had students on exchange in Bocconi in Italy, traveling to Madrid to take a Global Network Week, and other combinations are obviously possible. Students have gone to Cape Town, to Yale, to Hong Kong, HKUST, to Madrid, to Berlin, ESMT Berlin, Fudan, and many other destinations. And we found that for the past couple of years, about 20 to 25% of the class took advantage of this opportunity. All right, passing on back to Teresa.
Great, thanks, Alina. So that's a lot of information that we've given you about the academic components of the program. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the extracurricular opportunities as well, which are within the wider Sauder community and as well as internationally. So your MBA Society is an elected group of students from your class who represent the class. And I believe, so the current MBA Society have already reached out to you in terms of organizing the buddy program. which is fantastic. If you haven't signed up for the buddy program already, I definitely encourage you to do so. It's great to have that connection with one of the current students and to have that firsthand knowledge that they can share with you about what the program is like and any questions that you might have. Part of the MBA Society as well are some student clubs. So there's a finance club, an innovation club, a sustainability club. So there's all sorts of different clubs that you can get involved with when you're here as well. Our students generally do have some intramural sports teams. There's certainly a hockey team that plays from year to year. People have also gotten involved in volleyball and basketball and those sorts of things. You may have heard of MBA Games, which will be coming up in January for your class. So this is a big competition that all of the many of the business schools within Canada participate in. And usually around 30 to 40 students from your class would go to MBA Games. And it's a lot of fun. The students really enjoy going every year and having an opportunity to meet students from other major business schools in Canada and do some case competitions, some friendly sort of sports competitions, and lots of interactions with those students. We also have a strong sailing team here in the program, and you'll be having an opportunity to come out and see that at one of our sailing regattas that we'll hold here in August, sort of as a welcome for your class. So we'll have some more information about that later for you. There's also a sailing regatta in Italy that our students like to go and compete in every year. On top of this, there are case competitions that you may be interested in. We have the Chasing Sustainability Conference and also an orphan technology event that the students like to organize. So lots of ways to get involved outside of the program as well. In terms of communication, you've been receiving a number of emails from our team already. My advice for you here is to just keep on top of it. So we have a number, you'll find when you get here, there are a number of different areas where you need to go for information. We try and put as much of it on the program site as we can to make it easy for you. But there are certainly other systems within UBC that you'll need to familiarize yourself with as well. You have your Facebook group as well, which is a great source of support with your fellow students. The emails that we'll be sending you, the buddy program, as I mentioned before, definitely sign up for that if you haven't already. And here are some email addresses where you can reach us directly. And if you're not sure who to reach out to, you can always send it to our general email at askmba@sauder.ubc.ca, and we can forward that through to the right person. So we're going to wrap it up there. That's a snapshot of your UBC MBA program. We're really looking forward to meeting all of you in August. So happy to take any questions now if you'd like to type them in. And if not, I just wanted to say a big thank you for joining us today. And yeah, keep in touch, and we'll see you on campus shortly. Thanks very much.